Cricinfo is the world's largest single sport website and easily the largest cricket website in the world. But more than its size and its significance, it is its ethos that has also made it synonymous with cricket for cricket students everywhere. This is not a PR piece on them, but an attempt to understand what makes them tick from two fans who got a chance to work with them as we were running between the cricket during the World Cup.
The internet is a medium which allows you to explore a lot of things, and it allows you to fail also. You know, it's unlike a newspaper or a magazine that you need to craft fairly tightly, you know, because it's going to be printed, it's going to go out in the market. Here you can try, experiment things. Some things fail. People don't even notice it if it fails. They quickly withdraw it. So there's never been a year in my last 10 years where we haven't done anything new. I'll complete 10 years in July, I think. And I never thought I'll stay here for that long. This is the third job I'm doing in Cricinfo in the same organization, because I started with Wisden.com in 2000, and in 2003 Wisden.com bought Cricinfo, and in 2007 Cricinfo got bought by ESPN. So every World Cup Cricinfo has changed hands. So this is the first World Cup Cricinfo hasn't changed hands, and I'm quite sure that it's never going to change hands now. Cricinfo was built by techies to start with. So, you know, when we bought Cricinfo as Wisden, what Cricinfo had was a technical infrastructure and backbone. That was always there. I always tell everybody that Cricinfo actually invented the blog, because the ball-by-ball commentary was the first sort of blog anywhere in the world before people knew what blogs were. You know, it was a dated entry, dated minute by minute, second by second, but by somebody giving you scores. And same with Twitter. You know, if we turn Cricinfo commentary to 160 words, it'll be Twitter. It helps that we have a office of cricket nuts. The people are here, cricket has brought them all together. So they, even in their spare time, I'm sure they go to bars together and discuss cricket. These guys are living cricket here, and without that they wouldn't have been here.
I'm not a cricket fan. I'm not a hardcore cricket fan over here. I'm more into football. So I think my job here is to subvert the whole process. I can watch football on the TV whenever I want. And apart from that, I guess it's working with guys who are so passionate. And I think one thing about Cricinfo is that the ownership is spread. Everybody feels that it's their site.
I never wake up in the morning and never feel that I don't want to go to work. So, you know, you never mind going to work, and we don't have weekends, we don't have national holidays, but it very rarely feels like a chore.
Most of the time the days involve a lot of cricket talk itself here, and being able to discuss most of these old matches which we hardly get to see anymore and discuss. That's the best part of the day out here, apart from the actual work that we do.
Something that is very obvious here is the lack of politics, especially on this floor. I think everybody interacts as peers, and I think that's because all of us are here because we love the game. And
you getting paid for doing, working for Cricinfo, I think is one of the greatest jobs you can ever get in this world, if you are a cricket fan especially.
It's not a publication, but only website or only publication really that looks at the game from a global perspective. Cricinfo is consumed by everybody in the world. In that sense, there is a huge global responsibility that we have to the game. We drill it to our people who join us, that Cricinfo is not being about the fan of a national team. It's about being a cricket fan first. We say that try to make your nationality invisible. If you took out the byline, nobody should be able to say that you are a Pakistani or an Indian or an Englishman. That's why having a global team is so good. We have, if you look around in the office, you will find 4 nationalities here, and then we have somebody from South Africa, we'll have somebody in Sri Lanka. So we are covering a global tournament in the most global way possible.
Covering a tour is it's terrific. It's such a great opportunity, but it's also full on. You're always working on the road and everything, it's I wouldn't swap it for the world, but it's hard work. Yeah.
You're from Zimbabwe?
Yeah, originally from Zim. I grew up there. Haven't lived there for about 8 years though. For some reason they rehired me, and yeah.
Cricinfo where? In London?
In London, yeah. But in the office you got to be, you got to be unbiased. Zim versus England. That would be an interesting one. What would make it really interesting though is the fact that you've got Andy Flower coaching England and Grant Flower coaching Zim. I wouldn't say anyone but England, but Zim versus England, yeah. I'd back Zimbabwe.
I kind of miss out on the globalness of it because the desks, the main desks, editorial desks are in Bangalore and London. And my role in Karachi is more kind of just to make sure that nothing from Pakistan goes without me kind of, making sure that it's been vetted and that I've done the news piece, or if someone else has done it, then it's done properly. It can get quite like isolated sitting there, and you don't get a sense of how the organization really is running. And it's phenomenal how the desk in Bangalore is like an amazing thing. And the best thing about them is that they're completely clued up about Pakistan.
At the start level, we always seek out people who have three things: who have passion for the game, of course, good language skills, and they want to work for Cricinfo. We invest a lot in our people. When you get in new guys who have never had any training in journalism, it's a lot of hard work to get them to a certain level, which takes perhaps a year, 6 months, and we want them to stay with us. A lot of these guys you will go out and meet in the office have come from various different backgrounds. Engineers, there's a couple of MBAs here, there's a chartered accountant, and a few of them have actually taken pay cuts to come here. I end up spending a lot of time doing interviews, telling them why they shouldn't join this job, take this job up. I want to make sure that they're taking it up for the right reason. Because of some romantic notion that you will come to Cricinfo and you will go and travel the world and do cricket. Very often it is not that. Very often all these guys spend an enormous amount of time working in the office, producing the site, which means editing, giving headlines, cropping pictures, writing reports on Zimbabwe cricket, Zimbabwe domestic cricket, or Pakistan domestic cricket, which they might not have any affinity for. So they must love the game that much, and they must love the idea of Cricinfo. The idea of Cricinfo is that Cricinfo is there for the global game. The idea of serving cricket fans, idea of how important Cricinfo is to the game and to cricket fans, that gives you a huge kick, and it's a huge responsibility also.
That's always been Cricinfo's USP, and we handpick people, and they come to us from various fields.
I used to be an agricultural journalist of all things.
I've done my MBA, and then I went to a regular corporate advertising job as a client servicing guy. So that might sound funny now, but it wasn't so. It's very funny. It wasn't so funny then, believe me.
Masters in electrical engineering made no sense at all when I applied here.
So I was working in a financial services company in Gurgaon.
I did my engineering and then I did my MBA. I worked for 16 months in the corporate sector.
From past 15 years, being a professional cricketer, I enjoy this work a lot.
I was in advertising before, and when I joined for the game. I don't have any friends. What I get to know is when you're doing an interview, to understand what makes the players tick, what makes them go. Behind all this gelled hair or the studio Rahul Dravid, how does he approach the game? What does he think otherwise? That part is really fascinating. As to understand the people, you get all sorts of things. Martin Crowe once, during an interview, usually we're just talking, and suddenly he says, he was talking about his younger days. I was not prepared to play the cricket. I was 19. I had not been with a girl. So he suddenly looks at, it's not even a television moment, but he suddenly looks at where the recorder is and says, I've been with a girl, but what I mean, I've not been in a relationship. Those are priceless, I thought. You meet people who don't open. You meet a guy, somebody like Lance Klusener. I thought the question had to revolve around match. I had to ask about match fixing at some point. I didn't want to start off with that. I thought, okay, let me ask, you used to work in army or something before. That is the most banal thing to do. I said, so how was it? He said, I don't want to talk about it. I was like, my first original opening interview line is like, I thought this is the easiest part. I don't want to talk about it. If you have anything else to talk about, we can talk. Otherwise, that's it. So okay. Then I said I had no other go than rather to dive straight into the topic of match fixing and stuff.
and he absolutely opened them. Like, I was like, so the whole theory you think should probably talk slowly. It doesn't know, you know.
Cricket allows you to really like what we call in the industry, if that's not too pompous a phrase, but what we call like a writer's piece. You can write a piece on an innings that you've seen and you find amazing, and you just write a piece on that.
You can write a feature, you can write an interview, you can write a match story. So it's fun again. And I've returned after 10 years to reporting a match, and I suddenly realized I don't need to have a scorebook anymore.
I'm sure there are a lot of high profile guys like the selectors and all those guys who have told me that Cricinfo scores, apart from the international ones, are very important to them in a sense, and that's probably the only way they find out what's happening. The one good thing about Cricinfo is the day starts when I like the day to start, apart from when it's an important game day. So timing is important, but if there is no game, and then there is no timing as well. So if you see, there will be people in office till 9:30, even without a match happening, and with a match happening, it's a full house.
So heading to work at 2 in the morning in the middle of winter in London on the night bus would be a challenge, but I don't know. The first night and the second night are hard of a test, but after that, you know, you're in the groove, and you focus on the cricket. You've got the whole office to yourself.
In Cricinfo, I found the forum also because we don't deal only with India or with so the canvas is much larger. So you don't have to only look at a Dhoni or a Sachin. You can look at Ross Taylor, for instance.
StatsGuru is Travis Vasevi.
Because it all came from Travis, who was already in Cricinfo.
Who's the founder of StatsGuru?
Who's the founder of StatsGuru. So it all came from there, and he's an outstanding guy with codes and with cricket knowledge.
Have you worked
kind of. I have. He comes occasionally to India, and even otherwise we work on stuff that we can improve. So my role has been more in terms of using it and giving him feedback on what are the other additions that could be done with it, what are the minor tweaks, what are the other improvements.
So the combination of being in a place that allows you a lot of editorial freedom and the medium, which again allows you to sort of venture into lots of different areas. So that keeps me going, and a lot of our people who have been in Cricinfo have been here for a long time.